Okay. Let's go in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright everyone, welcome back. This is Railcoon with Prodigy alongside for iCCup Television. Thank you for tuning in. As you can see, we are still here with Bomber and White Raw entering game number 3 with Bomber up 2-0 so far. Bomber showing why he is one of the most scary Terrans around. A lot of players in Korea will always list him amongst the top players. When you say top Terrans, go for it. And definitely deserving of this show match against White Raw as you've seen so far. But he's going to be the green Terran in the top right hand corner. In the bottom left we've got White Raw. He's done pretty much the same thing so far in the last 2 games, which is very interesting, seeing as White Raw is known for being unpredictable. I'm waiting for the mix-ups, to use the Street Fighter terminologies. White Raw, at any moment, what's he going to do? It's one of the things that makes him so powerful and so frightening to play against. But cross positions on Neo Enigma is going to make the rush distances pretty considerable here on this map. As you can see by the mini-map, there are expansions everywhere. And I'm curious to see how these 2 players are going to play it out here on Enigma. Once again, big thank you to NationVoice.com sponsoring this show match. There are some giveaways if you follow us and them on Facebook and Twitter. They are Nation Voice on Facebook.com and Twitter.com, so it's just /Nation Voice, and we are just /iCCupTV. If you like and follow us on all 4 of those pages, we do have 2 headsets from, I forgot the name already, I'm so terrible at this, Plantronics GameCon, and 2 Ventrilo servers with 15 slots each, free for 3 months. So you have until Monday night to like both of those on Facebook and follow us on Twitter, and we'll be announcing the winners of those Tuesday night on the iCCup map series.
Yeah, so cross positions here on Neo Enigma. This is, of course, a map that I made myself. And one of the very key things to note about these particular positions especially is the center Zelnaga tower that's on fire. The center Zelnaga tower does see pretty much everything, and the vision kind of stops right at these cliffs and near the gold, so you can see all of the paths in the middle of the map. So controlling that will allow you to really lock down any movements around the map. Of course, you can break down the destructible rocks near the natural expansions of the other 2 corner bases here to try and open up another avenue of attack if you really just can't make your way through the main base. But this center Zelnaga tower just gives so much information. It's going to be very crucial to control in this particular matchup especially.
Yeah, and if we look over into Bomber's base, we have a really quick concussive shells being upgraded with a second barracks. So he's going to continue to do different things. First game we had a very quick expansion. Then he moved into 1-1-1 with Banshees. And now he's going for 2 racks with concussive shells. So far, White Raw, the guy who's known for playing completely different styles between games, is getting out-varied. I don't know how to term this properly. Bomber's playing a wider variety of strategies so far than he is, which is very interesting to see, as he's thrown out a 3rd completely different strategy so far. And this sort of an opening usually means he's going to apply a decent amount of pressure. He's going to follow it up with a command center, so we're not going to see any crazy SCV pulls. But this type of opening is really good at punishing a player who tries to skimp on some of the early units. And if we look back into White Raw's base, he just lost a Stalker in the center of the map and only has a single Zealot and Sentry to defend this. So this is looking quite dangerous for White Raw. He's going to have to pull back, drop a force field, and probably have to warp in even more sentries just to not die here.
Yeah, so here come nice force field there to keep those units from even making their way up the ramp. Warp gate will be able to complete in time. And I think he had something building on that gateway, but he did cancel it, so he was able to get some more stuff. Oh, pulls up from his ramp. Here comes some Stalkers. He might have to pull some probes off the line in order to hold this off, as he doesn't have very many forces. Here come the probes, and he will try to make his defense right now. 3rd gateway is still quite a ways from completing. Another warp cycle is just about to go down. He's got a pylon here. He might be able to warp in some Zealots right on top of these Marauders. Excellent defense here by White Raw. He did lose a good number of probes in that attack, but he was able to hold it off and not actually get killed entirely. So if you take a look at the worker counts right now, it's still 23-23. However, Bomber will be able to secure an advantage here, as he does have an expansion command center complete. Going to be morphing that into an orbital command right away. And at this point, it is definitely safe to say that Bomber does have a bit of an advantage, but White-Raw knows that this is, since there's no more units being streamed across the map, then there's a good chance that Bomber is following this up with an expansion, so he throws down one of his own immediately. And one of the things I wanted to point out was that Bomber does have a bit of experience playing on this map and the last map, Test Bug, as we did use these maps in the IMS Invitational, and unfortunately White-Raw is not a member of StarTale, so he's a little bit unpracticed on this map.
Yeah, and look at this. He's actually breaking down the rocks that lead to his third base, his non-gold third base. The gold base here only has 5 mineral patches, so given the differential there and just the sheer number of minerals, if he's looking on calling down a lot of mules, this third base might be a little bit of a better option. It's a little bit more protected. It's tucked away in this corner as opposed to out here in the center of the map. White-Raw might be thinking of taking a quick third base once again like he did on Test Bug, and playing for a bit of a longer game. Be curious to see if he's going to go for that same just Stalker Sentry Colossus. But on the other side of the field, Bomber does have a starport on the way. Reactor is being built. So he's still going to be able to stick with his Bio Viking play because, I mean, so far White-Raw hasn't figured out how to beat it yet. So there's no real reason for him to change it up. He's just changing his openings and then going back to the same sort of standard late-game army composition.
Yeah, so White-Raw right now going to try and apply a little bit of pressure to Bomber's front base in order pretty much just to try and buy time. This is definitely just a poke. He doesn't have a forward pile or anything like that. He will call down the Guardian Shield. He will see some bunkers at the top of the ramp and will immediately pull back before losing anything but just a few shields on some Zealots. But that will trigger Bomber to get a little bit more defensive here, so he does throw down another bunker to avoid actually dying. And this will give White-Raw the opportunity that he was really trying to get to essentially secure this third base and really get his economy going so that he can start teching up a little bit further. We see that he's only added on a robotics facility in a Twilight Council, no further gateways.
I've been watching him very carefully because he got a Twilight Council. Oh, no, what? He made a Dark Shrine and then he canceled it. I'm sad. I'm sad, White-Raw. I wanted to see the DTs, but he is actually switching over to Templar Archives. He's been going for that Storm play, which we haven't seen as much after the patch because the Protoss players so busy mourning the loss of their beloved Kidaran Amulet. But with this third base and the gas that it offers, he will be able to make quite a few Templars. And early Templars are quite powerful. And if you look over on the Bomber's side of the field, he's making blind Vikings, expecting White-Raw to do the same thing. So if he does go into Storm, those are not going to be very useful. But the issue is these two medevacs flying out through the center. Are they going to go over the third base? Oh, they're queued up onto the cliff. Look at this. Bomber making great usage of this map like you were talking about previously. He has played on this map in a previous tournament. So he's actually using the map features quite well so far. And I don't know if the Marauders can actually reach the probe line from there. It looks like they can hit maybe the top 2. Can you drop up there?
You can drop up there. This cliff is designed so that you can directly harass the gas and kind of only siege the Nexus. The drop is going to go down, and Force Shields will go down, so Bomber does immediately respond by moving these forces back up to the high ground here. It will be able to start raining fire down onto a few of these mineral patches. Again, this cliff here is really only designed to be able to harass the gas and about half of the minerals, not the entire expansion. So he will be able to still get a little bit of income out of this, but he will have to get some kind of air unit to actually be able to spot out there. And we do see that there is a warp prism on the way. The storm is just about done, and some Vikings are also showing up here at this third cliff here. How is White-Raw going to respond to this cliff here? I'm really curious to see what his plan is.
Yeah, it looks like he might just be going for some sort of a storm drop. He's moving his Templar forward, but if he still doesn't have anything to spot up this cliff, so he's being a little bit dangerous. Oh, there goes the double feedback. Oh, wow, that was really risky by Bomber. He saw those Templar. He did manage to just barely unload everything and snipe those Templars without losing a whole lot. So he did do a good amount of damage for those Marauders, given that they had already done good amount of damage to this third base. And the Vikings actually took quite a lot of shots at this Warp Prism, so now it's very low health. He's not going to be fully comfortable flying this around to do storm drops. So it actually worked out pretty well there for Bomber, getting 3 Templar for those Marauders that he was going to be trying to get off the cliff anyways. And now he's going to be a little bit less concerned about this Warp Prism, because if this flies into any stray Vikings, it's just dead at this point.
Railcoon, right now I have the biggest smirk on my face that I could possibly ever have. White Ra is going to storm drop. The Warp Prism is making its way around the map. He is controlling the center tower, so he does have a pretty good idea of where Bomber is. The Vikings are very cleverly positioned here. Part of me just does not want this Warp Prism to get spotted. Nice control there by White Ra, barely dodging one of them, but he will have to drop on the wrong side. And, now these Templar are out by themselves. A small strike force moving up to try and deal with these Templar. Really good use of these Vikings by Bomber. After seeing that there were no actual Colossus on the field, positions these kind of as turrets throughout the map to deal with exactly what White Ra was trying to do there, which is drop him on the cliffs that are on a lot of these expansions on this map.
Yeah, and look at this. White Ra going all the way up to the top left-hand corner of the base, of the map, into one of the other mains. And Bomber's got an expansion right next to it. They've got neighboring expansions not too far apart. Some of these Marauders are kind of trapped back here in the corner. If White Ra does see those, he can get a couple of free kills, but his army isn't really that big. He's lost a lot of Templar up to this point. I think he's lost 5 Templar without giving any major storms off on the army of Bomber. That's a lot of gas, even with his very quick third. He's pretty considerably behind. And they're both going to hit their 4th base at pretty much the same time. Oh no, Bomber's got an expansion queued up in the top left, as you can see the mossy green command center over the Nexus that's still warping in. So he will see this expansion from White Ra, should be able to shut it down quite easily. And Bomber's looking like he's in a good position to possibly pull ahead in this game even farther, as this SCV is going to come up. He's going to get shot in the face by a cannon. And I think he saw that Nexus. Yes, he did, right as it was warping in. And the main strength of that base is going to be the fact that it was hidden. So if Bomber just very tactfully takes the right amount of units over towards that top left base and takes it out, he will be in a good spot. And White Ra, I think, realizing that base is in danger, drops another one at the gold.
Yeah, so White Ra going to be kind of falling back to his side of the map here, as White Ra really doesn't have a lot of map control. If we look back at Bomber's side of the field, see, he's kind of bunkered up the really open space on this map, and he will be able to really start locking down the 4 expansions that he is in control of right now. SCVs looking like he wants to sacrifice a few of them. The SCVs are actually going to start doing a bunch of damage to the Templar. SCVs taking down Templar.
They don't have enough energy for Storm yet. He was sending the SCVs in to clear up supply. At the same time, he was actually shooting some of his Marines, and the SCVs actually took out one of the Templar there, freeing up supply for some more Ghosts, some more Marauders, and Medivacs. That was just completely hilarious. Those Templars are like, where's my amulet? No! And that's one of the things you have to be careful with that change. You have to really think about where you're warping in your Templar. Those got warped in completely away from the rest of his army. And here comes some more SCVs. Looks like they're going straight for the mineral line. They want to do as much damage as possible while they go on their sacrificial run. They're going to start picking away at this forge, actually. And he's just continuing to try to free up supply. He's got a good number of orbitals at this point. So he can call down quite a few mules. As you look around, he has another command center in production, so sacrificing SCVs at this point just to make his army bigger is going to help him out, and it's going to make this really big epic battle coming up more in favor of him. He's got a decent number of Vikings, he's got Ghosts on the field, so he has the potential with some really great micro to dominate White Ra's army, but of course White Ra, if he micros really well, drops force fields, he can do the same. So we've got a really big micro war incoming. Whoever controls this a little bit better will pull ahead, but I would say that Bomber has a bit of an advantage, as his army is just a bit bigger. Actually, that's quite a bit bigger, as we look at the Army tab.
That's
And he's making a nuke.
hugely bigger.
He's making a nuke. It's just about to finish. Oh my god, nuke, please. If he says a Dr. Seuss rhyme, everything will be complete, but I doubt his English is good enough for that. So we will be satisfied with just a nuke. But is he going to nuke? Oh my god, if he drops a nuke directly on White Rod's army. Oh. EMP's going off everywhere, doing a whole bunch of damage. You can see him just powering through the army of White Raw. He doesn't even need to use the nuke to try and scare White Raw, as he's able to just completely decimate his forces. The probe count of White Raw, you can see having 30 extra probes at this point just really didn't help him out at all. Bomber just had so many units he couldn't stand up to that attack, but White Raw's trying to fly a warp prism into the main of Bomber. He's not giving up just yet. He's going to try and buy some more time to warp in some units, but Bomber's on top of this already. He's got units chasing it down. That's not going to do a single thing. Bomber looks like he's going to go up 3-0.
Yeah, White Raw's going to have a lot of work ahead of him. Bomber right now going to be moving into the third expansion of White Raw and gun that down very quickly. That will pretty much shut down the economy of White Raw, and that's exactly what White Raw needed to be able to rebuild his army and get himself back into this game. So Bomber is essentially just going to be able to tip over White Raw, and I do see this game ending pretty quickly here as, well, Bomber's got
That
4...
is a lot of Templar. Oh my
Wow.
god, that is a lot of Templar. He doesn't have that many storms, but if he can get those off before the EMPs, that might be enough to buy him some time. He did just lose one of his bases. He's trying to rebuild another one. Charge Lot's going into this base. It's primarily mules. That's actually going to hurt the economy of Bomber quite a bit. At this point, he is relying on these mules a lot for his income. That's actually very, very painful. As you can see, he only has about 40 workers on the field. And this big conga line of Templars is just moving around the map threateningly. Bomber really needs to get a good EMP off on that, or White Raw might be able to try and make a comeback here if he can get some good storms off on that bio army.
Yeah, it's all going to come down to the storms. He might want to get a few feedbacks. You already see some of the Templar getting split up a little bit. Scan's going to go down right on top of the army of White Raw, and yeah, it's just going to come down to these storms. If White Raw is able to just completely blanket storm the army of Bomber over and over again, then he might be able to get himself back into this game, especially after doing the little bit of economic damage that he just did. Bomber right now moving up to deny another expansion here by White Raw, and he will be successful. Both these players kind of weary about when they want to
Templar
engage.
warping in. Oh my god, White Raw. 16 Templar. He is morphing some of these into Archons, but there's still 16.
Nuke!
Oh, where is it? Oh my god!
Thanks to that scan.
Oh my god, he doesn't see it yet! He doesn't see it yet! The nuke's gonna fall on almost...
24 kill nuke right there.
Oh!
The army of Bomber on the other side. EMPs are gonna go down on all of the Templar. White Raw will not be able to get the storms, and White Raw calls the GG. Oh, the nuke!
Oh my god, the Commander Ghost!
Perfect diversion.
That was almost all of White Raw's probes. Bomber not only winning, but doing it with an exclamation point. Oh my god. If you look at this, just back this up just a little bit, and check out these Templar. Let's count the storms. One. One storm, because some nice EMPs there from Bomber. So not only did that nuke completely tear through White Raw, those EMPs were just completely devastating. Oh my god. Oh my god, Bomber. Why are you so good?
That was just so brilliantly executed by Bomber. I'm completely blown away. The nuke goes down. White Raw isn't able to spot it in time, and just as he sees the nuke landing, Bomber comes in and manages to land all of the EMPs before White Raw really has an opportunity to react. And just completely brilliant there. I love it.
Yeah, so now White Raw's in a decent amount of trouble here. He's down 3-0, one game away. So this is a good